want you to be really honest. Have you ever passed wind in front of your fiancé? Or left the door open when you've been to the toilet?
Perry Edwards from Little Mix has. She ended up all over the front pages for supposedly committing such a social faux pas.
But is it
she
really,
trumped in front of Zayn. That's what she did.
Exactly. But is it really so unacceptable in modern day relationships? And if it is, what else is off limits? We're here to give our guidance is leading etiquette expert William Hanson and psychologist Dr Linda Papadopoulos. Welcome to you both. So this is... I know I got it wrong. I know.
How many?
I know. Shut up.
Papadopoulos.
I was going to go past it.
You're never going to get away with that. Linda Papadopoulos.
Linda, I'm
So
sorry.
good. It's such
Welcome.
a thank you. Good to see you.
Oh dear.
Right. My first question is: there has to be boundaries, doesn't there?
Oh, absolutely, yes. You do need to have boundaries, and I think one of those boundaries is not breaking wind or belching or whatever the unpleasant habit in front of your partner. Yes, it's modern times, but let's have some old-fashioned common sense.
So what is that? Is that throughout the whole of your relationship?
Yes, I mean, obviously there are going to be times when it happens accidentally, but generally you want to, you know, cross your legs and keep it all in until you're out of the room, whether that's you're in a relationship with someone or you're with a group of friends, family, whatever it happens to be.
Isn't there a time in a relationship for a lot of people where you actually you get on trumping terms?
Trumping terms, I love
you're
that.
really careful,
Do you
and
know
then
what? I think there shouldn't come a time where you do anything that the other person finds uncomfortable or offensive. I think that's the crux of it. I think on a serious note, you want to feel comfortable. You know, there's this great song, the Emily Santee song, I Want to Show You My Ugly. I think there's something very important about being with someone that sees the parts of you that you're uncomfortable with yourself, psychologically, emotionally speaking. But when we're talking about picking various parts of our bodies and emitting various sounds, it has to be something that you both feel comfortable with. And if the other person doesn't, it's about feeling disrespected. So if I'm sitting next to someone, you know them or not, be in a relationship with them or not, and they do something that I find genuinely nauseating or unsavory, it's going to make, and I say it to them and they continue, it's going to make me feel disrespected in the same way that it would if you constantly, I don't know, I was the one that had to pick up the towels off the floor. It's not dissimilar to that. So you might feel more comfortable leaving your clothes on the floor, or the towels, or never closing drawers, but we don't do it.
But what we're discussing are those other habits. I mean, it's all right picking the towels up off the floor, but you don't want to trump as you're doing it. That's the that's the thing. Can it spoil? Can it actually harm and spoil a relationship?
It can, unless you're both on the same page. If you're both super comfortable with bodily functions and you think it's a bit funny and not a bit gross, fair enough. But I do think that there's got to come. It's about boundaries, and it's a bit about romance as well. So if you think about it, the idea of becoming intimate, which is actually about vulnerability and openness to a great extent, that is in a lot of ways destroyed by the comedic value of trumping, as you say, but also by the disrespect showed. If it feels it doesn't smell nice, it doesn't sound nice, and likewise with sitting there, when we were speaking about it earlier, sort of picking various parts of your body, like looking. There's things that you need to keep to yourself.
I think if you find it, well, I would say if both partners find it funny, they need to reassess their lives.
They are
really,
funny,
in
though,
their
aren't
sense.
they?
They're not funny.
They
What's
make
funny
me
about it?
They
Come on,
make me
Philip, grow
laugh. I
up.
think
Come on. It's not funny.
It's not funny. It's not
not
big,
funny.
and it's not clever.
Exactly. There are funnier
Precisely.
things in life.
What's
Like
the-
getting people's name wrong.
What about other areas of etiquette, like like sort of technology, things that have moved on slightly? Like when are you ever allowed to sort of look through your partner's text
Oh, no.
messages? Are you ever allowed to? Go on.
No, and I don't think you should have to, because you should trust them, and there should be trust in that relationship.
Yeah.
And if you feel the need,
There's something wrong.
then probably there is something wrong.
But I do think as well, it depends. So I'd feel uncomfortable if my husband didn't have my PIN code or I didn't have his. When you have a child, for example, together, right? And you need to pick up someone's phone if it's from the school, or you need to kind of check an email. Now, when it becomes complicated is where the history is. So I've worked with couples where never had an inkling of checking each other's emails. Obviously, most of us don't do that. After an infidelity, though, right? If I'm always taking my phone off with me when I go to the bathroom, bathroom, or I'm never leaving it on the table, what does that do? It raises suspicion, it raises concern. So it's, again, what are the meanings behind our actions? And that's it. So whether it is feeling so comfortable that you pee with the door open, or feeling that you have to have the phone with you, how do I understand what that means, right?
Well, it's funny you should mention that. I think we might have a clip.
Question 1. Which of these bad habits of yours would Dan say annoys him the most? Is it when you leave your fake eyelashes around the house? Is it when you put your leg over him in bed? Or is it when you insist on leaving the loo door open when you're having a tiddle?
All of the above I am actually guilty of, but I think the one that Dan finds most offensive is probably, as you put it, leaving the toilet door open when I go for a tiddle. Sorry. Sorry. I can't look at you when I talk about this, because I know you're going to be so disapproving.
I'm shocked, appalled. I think, why? I mean, why? Because do you just forget to close the door? Do you not have a door on your bathroom?
No,
Some people don't.
I do. I guess, like, when the kids are downstairs, you want to just keep an eye open just to make sure that they're fine. I don't know. I don't really think about it. I wouldn't do it with anyone else who walked in the house.
Well, I would hope not.
I feel slightly ashamed.
No, don't feel ashamed. But again, it is about that sense of comfort. And you get to a point in a relationship where things don't need to be said, or
yeah, but I wouldn't. Funny enough, I don't see anything wrong with that. But I would never. Not that I do, because it's impossible for me to do the first thing we were discussing. But I would never do that. I see it totally different.
With Dan?
Yes. I can't believe we're talking about this.
We are talking about this as if we were in your sitting room. This is ridiculous. We've got to remember we're actually on the telly.
I know.
What we don't want is we don't want you to get too comfortable with doing something, and then when you do have other people round, for it to happen.
But that would never, obviously.
Because if it becomes sort of a
happen.
habit, like criticising your partners, it's amazing how many dinner parties I've gone to, and the two couples start sort of very subtly criticising each other
but that's
in
kind
public.
Of, that's kind of life, isn't it? That's what people do. A little. I mean, to a certain extent.
You think that's a bad idea?
Yes, because if you're going to, your relationship to a certain extent should be private, and little niggles, if it builds, and there are certain couples that are constantly doing it, and it can make other people, other guests feel a bit uncomfortable.
But also, interestingly, he said that that's what bothered him. So, for what that's worth, and I'm not trying to put him, he had to choose something, fair enough.
Yeah.
But of all the things, so I think it's one of those things, if it does, and I'm so sorry, this is so uncomfortable, but if you can close the door, I'm just, putting it out there, you might want to close the door.
You don't need to lock. You don't need to lock the door.
I'm loving this.
Philip, what are your bad habits?
No, I'm like a cat. I'm like a cat with that sort of stuff. Absolutely, no. I'm gone. You'll never find me.
And also, what's the
I don't
etiquette
go in
about
other
staying
people's
into the bathroom?
houses. I don't anything like that.
Ever, you're just
No, I can't do it.
quietly,
No,
in
I
and
am
out.
like a cat. Yeah. Right then. I don't go out in the garden and bury it. Just so that you know. Right then. Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. I'm feeling we've let you down horribly. I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry.
May never come back.
I don't really know what to say.